Tonight, a shocking courtroom appearance involving former reality TV personality Joseph Duggar is making headlines across the United States. The former 19 Kids and Counting star appeared in a Florida court facing serious child molestation charges connected to an alleged incident from 2020. Prosecutors say the accusations involve a minor under the age of 12, while Duggar's legal team has entered a plea of not guilty. The courtroom hearing drew massive public attention, especially because the Duggar family has already faced multiple controversies over the years. Cameras surrounded the courthouse as reporters waited for every detail from inside the hearing room. According to court records, Joseph Duggar was extradited from Arkansas to Florida after authorities reopened an investigation linked to allegations first reported years after the alleged incident took place. Law enforcement officials claim the case began moving forward after investigators received new statements and evidence connected to the accusations. During the hearing, Duggar reportedly appeared calm but serious while standing before the judge. Prosecutors described the allegations as extremely disturbing and requested strict conditions if bond were to be granted. The court heard arguments from both sides. Prosecutors argued that the charges are severe enough to require heavy restrictions, while Duggar's attorneys insisted their client deserves fair treatment under the law and reminded the court that he has not been convicted of any crime. The judge eventually approved a bond set at hundreds of thousands of dollars, but with strict limitations. One of the most talked about conditions reportedly prevents Duggar from having unsupervised contact with minors while the case remains active. That restriction immediately sparked debate online because Joseph Duggar himself is a father. Social media exploded within minutes of the court update, with reactions pouring in from viewers who once followed the Duggar family on television for years. Many people remember Joseph Duggar as one of the quieter members of the famous Duggar family, which rose to fame through TLC reality shows focused on conservative Christian family life. But now, the family name is once again connected to criminal allegations that have shocked longtime followers. Legal analysts say this case could become one of the most closely watched Duggar-related court battles since the conviction of Joseph's older brother, Josh Duggar, whose own criminal case generated national headlines years earlier. Outside the courthouse, reporters questioned attorneys from both sides, but very few direct answers were given. Duggar's legal team maintained that their client denies wrongdoing and plans to fight the charges in court. Meanwhile, prosecutors emphasized that the investigation involved interviews, witness statements, and cooperation between law enforcement agencies in both Florida and Arkansas. Court documents reportedly claimed that the alleged victim later spoke to investigators in a forensic interview. Authorities say the investigation intensified after conversations connected to the allegations were reviewed by detectives. As news spread online, former fans of the Duggar family expressed disbelief, anger, and sadness. Some social media users questioned how another major scandal could emerge from a family that once promoted strict religious values and family-centered living on national television. Others urged the public not to rush to conclusions before the trial begins, reminding people that allegations alone do not equal guilt. The courtroom hearing also reportedly included discussions about future pretrial conditions, travel restrictions, and communication rules, while the investigation continues. For now, Joseph Duggar remains out on bond while awaiting the next phase of legal proceedings. His upcoming court appearances are expected to attract intense media attention as prosecutors prepare to present more evidence in the case. And as this story develops, many are wondering what impact these allegations could have not only on Joseph Duggar's future, but also on the already controversial public image of the Duggar family itself. As details from the investigation continue to emerge, attention is now turning toward the evidence prosecutors claim connects Joseph Duggar to the allegations. While officials have not publicly released every document tied to the case, sources familiar with the investigation say detectives spent months reviewing statements, digital records, and witness interviews before filing formal charges. According to reports discussed during the court hearing, investigators believe the alleged incident took place during a family-related gathering in Florida several years ago. Authorities claim concerns were initially raised quietly, but the matter later escalated after additional information surfaced during follow-up interviews. Legal experts following the case say delayed reporting is not unusual in sensitive investigations involving minors. Prosecutors reportedly argued that the timeline should not reduce the seriousness of the allegations. Meanwhile, Duggar's defense team strongly pushed back against the accusations. Attorneys stated outside the courtroom that Joseph Duggar intends to fully contest the charges and believes the investigation contains inconsistencies. The defense also suggested that media coverage surrounding the Duggar family could influence public opinion before any trial begins. Lawyers warned against what they called trial by internet, saying their client deserves a fair legal process. Still, public reaction has remained intense. On social media platforms, hashtags connected to the Duggar family quickly began trending after news outlets reported the Florida court appearance. Thousands of comments flooded online discussions, with many users comparing the situation to previous scandals involving members of the Duggar family. Some former viewers of 19 Kids and Counting said they felt shocked seeing another Duggar family member facing serious criminal allegations. Others questioned whether deeper issues inside the family environment had gone unnoticed for years. The Duggar family itself has not yet released a full public statement regarding Joseph's charges. However, several family-connected social media accounts reportedly limited comments shortly after the news broke. Media crews have also reportedly gathered near Duggar family properties in Arkansas, hoping for reactions from relatives or close associates. At the center of the case, however, remains the alleged victim and the ongoing criminal investigation. Authorities say protecting the identity of the minor involved is a top priority. Court officials reportedly sealed several sensitive documents connected to the case in order to prevent public exposure of personal details. Child protection advocates say cases involving high-profile public figures often become especially difficult because intense media attention can place enormous emotional pressure on everyone involved. Meanwhile, criminal law specialists say prosecutors will likely need strong supporting evidence if they hope to secure a conviction in such a high-profile case. Analysts point out that juries tend to closely examine witness credibility, timelines, and corroborating details during emotionally charged trials. The prosecution reportedly hinted during the hearing that additional evidence may still be presented in future court proceedings. That possibility has fueled speculation online about whether more witnesses could eventually come forward. At the same time, supporters of Joseph Duggar continue defending him online, arguing that the public should wait until all evidence is examined in court before making final judgments. The case has also reopened broader conversations about reality television fame and the long-term pressures faced by families who grow up under public attention. For years, the Duggar family built a brand centered around faith, family values, and conservative living. Their television success turned them into household names across America. But repeated controversies involving members of the family have dramatically changed public perception over time. Now, with Joseph Duggar facing serious criminal accusations in Florida, many are questioning whether this case could become another defining moment for the Duggar family legacy. As legal proceedings continue, investigators remain focused on gathering evidence, preparing witness testimony, and building arguments that could shape what happens inside the courtroom in the months ahead. And while the defense insists Joseph Duggar is innocent, prosecutors appear determined to move the case forward aggressively. With the case now moving deeper into the legal system, many experts believe the upcoming court hearings could determine how serious the situation becomes for Joseph Duggar in the months ahead. If convicted on the charges currently filed against him, legal analysts say Duggar could face severe penalties under Florida law, including the possibility of lengthy prison time and mandatory registration as a sex offender. Prosecutors have not yet publicly discussed potential sentencing recommendations, but experts note that crimes involving minors are treated extremely seriously in Florida courts. As anticipation builds around the next hearing, attention is also focused on whether prosecutors may introduce additional witnesses or evidence that has not yet been revealed publicly. Court insiders say pretrial motions could soon become a major battleground between both sides. Duggar's attorneys are expected to challenge parts of the investigation, including how evidence was collected and whether certain statements should be allowed during trial proceedings. Meanwhile, prosecutors appear confident in the direction of the case. During recent court discussions, officials reportedly emphasized that investigators spent significant time reviewing testimony and building the timeline connected to the allegations. Law enforcement sources also claim multiple agencies cooperated during the investigation process. Outside legal circles, the story continues dominating online discussions and entertainment news coverage. Several media commentators say the case represents another dramatic fall involving a former reality television figure whose family once symbolized traditional American values on national television. For longtime followers of the Duggar family, the latest allegations have reopened memories of earlier controversies that damaged the family's public reputation years ago. Some former viewers say they now question how much of the family's television image reflected reality behind closed doors. Others argue that the actions of one individual should not automatically define an entire family. At the same time, advocacy organizations focused on child protection have used the case to highlight the importance of reporting abuse allegations and supporting investigations involving minors. Experts say high-profile cases can sometimes encourage additional victims in unrelated situations to come forward and seek help. As public debate continues, Joseph Duggar himself has remained mostly silent outside official court appearances. According to reports, he has avoided major public statements and is relying heavily on his legal team to respond to media attention. Sources close to the family claim the situation has created enormous stress inside the Duggar household, especially because of the widespread media coverage surrounding the allegations. Television networks and streaming platforms connected to past Duggar programming have also reportedly seen renewed public attention as interest in the family resurfaces online. Meanwhile, criminal justice analysts warn that cases involving celebrity or reality television figures often become highly emotional in the court of public opinion long before any verdict is reached. That means jury selection could eventually become a critical issue if the case proceeds to a full trial. Attorneys on both sides may carefully examine potential jurors to ensure media exposure does not unfairly influence proceedings. For now, the legal process continues step by step. Joseph Duggar remains under court-ordered restrictions while awaiting future hearings, and prosecutors are expected to continue organizing evidence ahead of possible trial dates. The coming weeks could prove decisive as judges review motions, attorneys prepare arguments, and investigators finalize key portions of the case. Until then, the nation continues watching closely as one of the most talked-about Duggar family controversies unfolds inside a Florida courtroom. And as more details emerge, this case could become another major chapter in the long and controversial history surrounding one of America's most famous reality television families. Joseph Duggar is once again making headlines after reportedly skipping a scheduled court appearance, while his legal team aggressively fights a controversial no-contact order that prevents him from spending unsupervised time with his own children. The latest courtroom developments have reignited nationwide attention surrounding the former reality television personality and the growing legal battle connected to the serious allegations he currently faces in Florida. According to court records, Duggar did not personally appear during the recent hearing, with his attorneys appearing on his behalf instead. Legal experts say defendants are sometimes allowed to miss certain procedural hearings depending on court approval and the nature of the session. Still, his absence immediately fueled public speculation online. Many social media users questioned why Joseph Duggar was not physically present during such an important stage of the case, while others argued that his legal rights allow representation through counsel during limited court proceedings. But the biggest focus inside the courtroom was not his absence. It was the ongoing fight over restrictions involving his children. Prosecutors are reportedly pushing to maintain strict conditions that prohibit Duggar from being alone with minors, including his own kids, while the criminal case remains active. The restriction has now become one of the most emotionally charged aspects of the entire legal battle. Duggar's attorneys argued before the judge that the no-contact condition is overly harsh and unfairly impacts his role as a father. According to courtroom discussions, the defense insisted there is no justification for preventing him from privately spending time with his children before any conviction has occurred. The legal team reportedly described the restriction as excessive, saying Joseph Duggar should not be treated as guilty before trial. However, prosecutors strongly opposed easing the order. State attorneys argued that the allegations themselves involve a minor, making child safety the court's highest priority while legal proceedings continue. Prosecutors reportedly told the judge that maintaining strict supervision rules is necessary until the case is fully resolved. The judge did not immediately remove the restriction, meaning Duggar remains unable to have unsupervised contact with minors under the current bond conditions. That decision sparked intense reaction online. Supporters of Duggar argued that the restriction unfairly punishes his family before any verdict has been reached. Critics, meanwhile, said the court is taking appropriate precautions given the seriousness of the accusations. Outside the courthouse, media crews gathered as legal analysts discussed the significance of the judge's decision. Some experts explained that no-contact orders involving minors are common in cases tied to child-related allegations, especially when courts believe protective measures are necessary during ongoing investigations. Others noted that judges often face enormous pressure in high-profile cases where public scrutiny is intense. Meanwhile, the Duggar family name continues drawing major media attention because of its long and controversial history in the public eye. Joseph Duggar first became known through TLC reality series 19 Kids and Counting, which followed the ultra-conservative Duggar family and their daily lives. The family later faced multiple controversies that dramatically changed public perception over the years. Now, this latest courtroom battle is once again placing the family under a national spotlight. According to reports, Joseph Duggar's legal team may continue filing motions aimed at reducing restrictions ahead of future hearings. Attorneys are reportedly preparing arguments claiming the conditions interfere with family stability and parental rights. At the same time, prosecutors appear determined to keep the restrictions firmly in place while investigators continue preparing the case. The courtroom debate has also sparked broader conversations online about balancing parental rights with child protection concerns during criminal investigations. Some legal commentators say courts must carefully weigh constitutional rights against public safety risks, especially when allegations involving minors remain unresolved. For now, Joseph Duggar remains out on bond but under strict court-ordered conditions. Defense attorneys reportedly told the court that Joseph Duggar's inability to spend unsupervised time with his children has created major emotional strain inside the household. They claim supervised-only visitation places enormous pressure on daily family life and unfairly limits his role as a parent, while the case is still unresolved. The defense also argued that Duggar has complied with all court requirements since his release on bond and has not violated any conditions imposed by the judge, but prosecutors continue rejecting those arguments. State attorneys reportedly insisted that the seriousness of the allegations leaves no room for relaxed restrictions. Prosecutors emphasized that courts must prioritize safety concerns first, especially in cases involving accusations connected to minors. Legal analysts say the prosecution's position reflects a common strategy in child-related criminal cases, where judges are often cautious about reducing supervision requirements before trial. Meanwhile, the public reaction remains deeply divided. Supporters of Joseph Duggar continue defending him online, arguing that he has not been convicted and should not face restrictions they believe resemble punishment before trial. Some social media users described the no-contact order as extreme, while others question whether the court is responding more to public pressure than legal necessity. On the other side, critics argue the restrictions are completely appropriate given the nature of the allegations. Many online commenters say the court would face intense backlash if it relaxed conditions and later faced accusations of failing to protect children involved in the situation. The emotional nature of the case has also drawn national media attention far beyond entertainment news. Legal experts appearing on television programs have debated whether the judge may eventually consider modifying the restrictions under carefully controlled conditions. Some analysts believe supervised family interaction could potentially expand in the future if Duggar's attorneys successfully argue there is no immediate risk. However, others say courts rarely loosen restrictions quickly in high-profile cases involving minors. Behind the scenes, investigators are reportedly continuing to organize evidence ahead of future hearings. Sources close to the case claim prosecutors are still reviewing interviews, digital records, and witness testimony connected to the